Anyway, let's get into it. I have no idea if this is going to work, but I am going to give you what will end up being my prediction for this coming weekend for the NXL Sunshine State Major. That is a hard thing to say. One thing that I said in the last stream that I cannot account for through the app that I'm using, and I couldn't find any other apps that allowed me to either, is I cannot account for wild cards playing into the tournament. So we're going to assume that that there's no wild cards, or even if there were, they didn't win to get into the tournament. So hopefully that doesn't mess things up too much. We'll see. I have no idea if this is going to work. Literally none whatsoever. And this is unfortunately as good as I can. Okay, we can make it a little bit bigger. Okay, cool. So let's start off with Revo. So Revo had a pretty good showing last year, which is not surprising to me, but I really didn't expect it. What did they place, top 4? Or did they place 3rd? I know they played in the 3rd, 4th match, but they were looking really, really good. Aftermath is a new squad, and I have no idea what to expect from that squad. They've got some pretty good players. They've got Unger, Erickson, some guy from their semi-pro squad who I don't know. He plays the center. I think his name's Josh, from what I heard. And then they've got David Ramirez. I actually think if Revo's squad is the same, they are going to be Aftermath. Verify winner, Revo, Aftermath, submit score. Okay, we're just gonna hope that it just needs to be a 1-0 sort of situation, because I don't want to do like more than, I don't care. I'm not trying to predict how many points they're gonna score against each other. That's just too complicated. All right, match 2 in round 1. Again, I'm not sure if this is actually how this is gonna work out very well. All right, Thunder versus LVL. I think Thunder's gonna win this game. I don't really think much of Columbus LVL. And I don't remember how they did in the previous tournament, but I don't expect they're going to do very well. We'll see. Aftermath versus Thunder. I actually think this is going to be a very, very good game, especially just given the play styles. I suspect that Aftermath is going to be a very fast and explosive team, whereas I think from what I could gather at the practice against Thunder, they were very methodical. The only thing is Aftermath is not very fast, so I think that they could get chopped up quite a bit, or just get outran essentially. Like if Aftermath takes the field early, I think Thunder might struggle to get out. But Thunder's a pretty good squad. This is a real tough one. I'm gonna say, is there any reason to do a tie in this situation, or do we want to just declare a winner? Because they don't resolve ties in group stages, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna put my faith into Thunder. I'm putting my faith in Thunder. I think they can pull it out. Dynasty versus Revo, dude. That's an easy dub for Dynasty. There's no way. I think those guys are top 4 contenders literally every tournament. And I think Revo's good, but I don't know though, because Revo, I'm pretty sure Revo beat Heat to. Didn't Revo beat Heat and Dynasty or something to get into top 4? No, because I think that was when Dynasty won the event. Anyway, Thunder versus Dynasty. I love Thunder. Those guys are awesome. I think Dynasty takes it. And I think the reason that Dynasty takes it is because I think their mid to late game is superior to Thunder's. I think Thunder, if they get kills off the break early, then they could easily close out the point. But I think if it's 5 alive, I think Dynasty takes it, because Tyler Harmon and Ryan Greenspan are like, if the point is stagnated, those guys will figure out how to blow that point apart. And so I have no doubt that those guys would win that series. All right, LVL versus Aftermath. I'm gonna give it to Aftermath, mostly because I have a lot of, I like Unger, I like Erickson. I think those guys are awesome. And I really don't know much about LVL. I think this is what their 3rd pro season. Is it their 3rd pro season, or is this their 2nd? Because Columbus LVL formed. No, they formed in 2020. They were like a merger, or they bought a pro spot, I'm pretty sure, from like, who was it, like PC Katana or something. If anybody in the chat knows, please let me know. Dynasty versus LVL. Yeah, dude, Dynasty takes this game. No questions asked. Revo versus Thunder, another really, really good match. Man, that is a tough one. I've seen Revo beat Thunder, I'm pretty sure, in a series. I'm trying to think of, if Revo's team stuck together with Thunder's new pickups, I think they could. But man, I'm gonna give it to Revo because I think their experience. They've Thunder picked up Kato. I'm sorry if you're watching this, Kato, in past broadcast. And he's super good, super solid D-side player. They picked up another guy. I want to say his name's Sadie. I asked him like 4 times and he told me, but it's not Sadie. It's like sad. I don't know. Also super cool dude, relatively new pickup. So I think Revo is going to win simply because of experience. But I think that's, if anything, it'll be a close match. I'm putting a lot of weight onto, and for Thunder in this tournament, I'm putting a ton of weight onto Patty Gleason, Corey Field, GJ, Sakaguchi, and they have another D-side player who we spoke to. He told us he was injured and he came back. He's pretty solid. Oh, and John Kirzawa. He's also super solid. So I think that those guys are going to carry the tournament for them, but I think Revo, if this team is the same as what showed up in the 2020 season, I think for World Cup when they placed 4th, those guys were looking really good. And I think Revo, if they continue that train, are going to be another one of those teams that's fighting for top 4 every event. Yeah, Revo's going to win this event, or this match for sure. Man, do I have Revo winning all their games? Okay, they lose to Dynasty. I have Revo going 3-1 right now. Jeez. Dynasty versus Aftermath. I wish I knew how these scrimmages were going. Aftermath versus Dynasty. Dynasty takes this. I think Dynasty picks apart Aftermath. I think Aftermath's going to have a rough first event, personally. Oh man, I'm showing that they're not getting even out of group stages, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. Group B, X Factor versus Uprising, round 1, game 1. Dude, that is a... I think that's a slaughter. I like the Uprising guys. They're pretty cool dudes from what I understand. I think Joe Barrett's on DMG, I'm pretty sure still. Maybe he moved. But Uprising is super nice. We're actually scrimmaging them this year. And it's just X Factor. Like, it's hard to give that game to Uprising. I think Energy Elite is random. No disrespect to Energy, but I don't think Heat loses to them. Though if we got 2020 Heat that we saw, or even like, no, it wasn't 2019, but like 2020 Heat was bad. They were so bad. Didn't they place 9th in Vegas? Then they didn't even make it out of, or no, they got it. I think they got into the tournament as a wild card, and then they won their first game to get into the bracket, and then I think they lost their second series, like the first game into their bracket, and then lost and took 9th or something like that. I could be wrong, but all right. Uprising versus Heat. Again, I'm giving it to Heat. I think those guys are going to do well. I think they've adjusted. Impact versus X Factor. This is a finals game right here. Dude, this is a bloodbath every single time. I have been more impressed with X Factor than I have been with Impact in the last year. I think especially after Impact lost Alex Rodriguez, they haven't been doing as well. Goldman is super solid. Like their entire team. Nick Laval is super solid. Brandon Cornell. I mean, I could try to remember all their names, but those guys are good. And X Factor just has been the same squad forever. So that's a really, really tough one. I actually think I'm going to give this one to Impact. I'm going to give that game to Impact because I think they're going to have a different look this season. I think. I don't know. We'll see. Heat versus Impact. Holy freaking crap. This group is insane. Impact. I didn't even realize X Factor, Impact, and Heat in the same group. Are you serious? Okay. Actually, we should have looked at the standings of this. So, Dynasty set to advance 4-0. Revo 3-1, Thunder 2-2, Aftermath 1-3, LVL 0-4. I think that's pretty fair. I don't know what you guys think. I think it's a pretty fair assessment. But obviously the Aftermath and LVL guys would not be very happy with me. Matches, let's see, where was I? Round 3, game 1 of round 3. Heat versus Impact. Oh my gosh. Well, I want Heat to win. I like Heat more than I do Impact. Just from a branding perspective, I actually know more people on Impact now than I do on Heat. I love Ronnie Dizon. I think that guy is a killer. Chad George is a killer. Their whole team is super solid. Impact. Man, those guys look pretty good though. I'm gonna give this one to Impact. Just because I think for Heat to make such a massive swing from how they performed in 2020 might be a tall order against a team like Impact, who I think is the same roster. I mean, so is Heat, but anyway, Energy Elite versus Uprising. I think this is also going to be I think this is going to be a pretty good game, but I'm going to give it to Uprising because I know them. I know more of the people on Uprising than I do Energy Elite. No disrespect to Energy Elite, but I have no idea or understanding of who's on that squad. Impact versus Energy Elite. I'm going with the safe option. I think Energy Elite's going to lose that game. X Factor versus Heat. Oh my gosh. You know, I actually watched some practice footage of X Factor versus Heat. It was, I think Yosh Designs posted that. And I got the impression that X Factor was giving it to Heat. That's the impression I got. With that being said, however, I do think that if you win a lot at practice going into the tournament, it's almost harder to keep that winning streak. So I'm going to give this to Heat. Mostly because I want to see Heat win that game. But I do think they have a really solid chance to. X Factor versus Energy Elite. I'm going to give that to X Factor. It's pretty safe. And then Impact versus Uprising. I'm giving it to Impact. So let's see what we have now. Impact set to advance 4-0. Heat set to advance 3-1. X Factor 2-2. And then but that's the thing. I put X Factor at 2-2, but that's a squad that will go 2-2 and then literally win every game after that and win the tournament. Uprising doesn't advance. Energy Elite doesn't advance. I think that's pretty fair. All right. Next series, Damage versus Outlaws. No way Damage loses that. I think Damage has been really, really impressive in the last year. They had a really good 2020, and I think they did really well in the World Cup 2019. There was just a few mistakes that they had made that knocked them out, and I'm pretty sure, was it the Russians that knocked them out? I'm pretty sure it was the Russians in the tournament, and that was such a close game. Dallas versus ML Kings. Dallas is a new roster, like almost entirely new. I don't know actually how many people have stayed on the team since the start of the season. I can't name all the players, but I'm pretty sure they lost at least one of the Jackson twins. Maybe the other one stayed, but they definitely lost one. I'm pretty sure they don't have TJ Danner anymore, but I don't know if he left to join another team or if he's still out because of his injury, because that was an injury that happened a while ago. And then, yeah, dude, like literally their entire squad is new to me. I think AC Dallas is going to struggle, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think this is actually ML King's time to shine in this event, in this tournament. I think Greg Pauly is an amazing coach, and I think even from the videos that I've seen of their raw practice footage against like Blast Camp, and I think they had a big pro scrimmage just recently that was on video. I can't remember. They're looking good. AC Dallas is looking good, but they are not looking at they're not looking like the same like confidence and sharpness that the previous squad had. So I just don't think they're going to do very well. Outlaws versus Dallas. Man, that is tough. That is really tough, because what this comes down to in my mind is after that first series, how well does Dallas adjust given Greg Pauly's coaching ability or coaching skills? Because I don't really know much about the Outlaws, but I've never been impressed with them. They're just kind of a team that exists. So I'm going to give that to Dallas simply because of Greg Pauly. These guys fight each other so much. These guys play each other, it feels like, all the time. It's probably just a feeling that I have, but my goodness. Russian Legion versus Damage. I think the only way that Damage wins this is if Russian Legion doesn't play at their game. I think, and it's very possible for this to be. So this would be Damage's second game and Russian Legion's first game. So I think if there's any way for Damage to win this series, it has to be that they win here and they win quick. I think if they can go up 3 or 4 points on Russian Legion and drain the clock, these Damage has a very good chance to win. But I think if you give Russian Legion like 10 minutes and you're up 6 points, or let's say 5 points, I think that's so much ball game for Russian Legion that they could win. But just to make things interesting, I'm gonna give it to Damage. Dallas versus Russian Legion. I think Dallas gets slaughtered, unfortunately. The Russians are just so good. ML Kings versus Outlaws. I'm gonna give it to ML Kings. I really like those guys over there. I was really hoping that Brandon was gonna go play for them, but just they're a good camp. So Russian Legion versus ML Kings. It's Russian Legion, no question. Looks like ML Kings might tie depending on who their fourth game is against Damage. Damage versus Dallas. I think Damage wins this. Not by 12. Holy crap. I think Damage wins that game against Dallas. I think, man, Keith Brown and Chad Bouget. Is it Bouget or Bougier? I think it's Bouget. And Jason Edwards and who's the other Edwards guy? Those guys are just nuts, dude. So I see that going into Damage's favor. I really hope that Damage does well this season. I would love for them to go top 4 this event. ML Kings. I think ML Kings loses to Damage. I think so. Outlaws versus Russian Legion. There's no way. No way. All right. Standings. Let's see who we got. Damage moving on 4-0. Oh man, I have them beating. I forgot I have them beating Russian Legion. That's actually their toughest game, and the rest of their games are pretty easy. So, okay, Russian Legion going 3-1. ML Kings going 2-2 to make it. Dallas dropping, Outlaws dropping. I think that's pretty fair. I think that looks pretty good. All right, last group. Last group in the bracket. Diesel versus DMG. Diesel all the way, dude. I am a huge Diesel fan. I've been a huge Diesel fan just because they've kept the same squad. And I think, what's his name? I always forget his name. Clint Johnson. Clint Johnson. Dude, I'm a big fan of Clint Johnson. I think that guy is awesome. Matt Jackson. Not Matt Jackson. Who's that? Mark Johnson. Mark Johnson and Clint Jackson. Clint Johnson and Mark Johnson. They're not related, are they? That's the first time I've ever noticed that. All right. Infamous versus New York Extreme. I don't like New York Extreme. I think they're going. I always am surprised when they win a game. No disrespect, but I just don't like that camp. Infamous winning DMG. I don't really have a gauge for how good DMG is this season. I think they have some pretty good. Actually, DMG just picked up a lot of good players. Ooh, I forgot. DMG's whole roster is different now. Coaching New York Extreme. Yeah, that was announced just recently. Which I have no idea if Rich Telford's a good coach or not. I mean, I know he was a good player back in the day, but has he been coaching any teams recently or in the last like couple years? So I'm pretty sure he just has been doing commentary. So I'm not sure how well that'll help them. I think if anything, if this is the first event that he's coaching them, they'll learn a lot and they'll be prepped and ready for the second event. Excessive divisional, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. DMG versus Infamous. So DMG's whole squad is way different. And I think they actually picked up some killers. No, that wasn't it. DMG lost a bunch of people to Aftermath. That's what it was. So I'm going to give this to Infamous still. I think Infamous is a really sick squad. I think they could do really well. They've got like still Thomas Taylor Markowski, the Jamros, newish guy. He played there on the semi-pro squad. Iron Man versus Diesel. Dude, you know I got to give it to my boys Iron Man. This is going to be a very good game. This is going to be a super, super good game. And unfortunately, Iron Man can have a tendency to just like go, like they can go up a lot of points and then literally just like out of nowhere start not winning. which is only because they don't play Christian as much as they should. No, I think the reason why I'm always surprised that Iron Man doesn't just like sweep everybody is because their whole lineup is super good. I actually think that the weakest player on that team, well, it's hard to say. Who is their snake guy besides Tabata? It's Tabata, and then it's the guy that came from the violence camp, or Collision. And he was not, that guy who I'm speaking about did not play well at the, what was the most recent event? Because yeah, Ironman won Vegas, but the World Cup, that guy did not play very well, from my opinion. But that's it. Like I mean, at times he's their weakest player, but at other times he's like he's their absolute killer. And so it's hard to say, but I'm gonna give this one to Iron Man, but I do think that's gonna be a very close game. Infamous versus Iron Man, I think Iron Man win this game. I just think Iron Man is a better camp than Infamous. I think Infamous has, what's weird about Infamous is that they have a lot of like, they still have a lot of what feels like old school tendencies. Where they're not, one, they don't look like they play together at all. Thomas Taylor doesn't look like he's really adapted to the new genre of paintball. I don't know, whatever that means. But I just don't get the impression that Thomas Taylor has really made those adjustments. How can you watch this? You can watch the tournament. Good question. You can watch the tournament at, hopefully I don't get timed out, at GoSports.com. It does require a subscription. It's $10 a month, but you can just like subscribe and then unsubscribe. It'll be fun to watch. My ex-teammate, Christian Martinez, who is the brother to Brandon Martinez, our current captain. Christian Martinez is now playing for Iron Man. So and that squad's good. They won the Vegas opener last year in 2020, and then they had a really good showing. I think they made it to top 4 in the World Cup last year. And it's super fun to watch him play. Like, to watch Christian play on the big screen is so fun. So anyway, I'm gonna be watching it, but I obviously can't stream that. Oh wait, I'm not gonna be watching it. I'm gonna be there. That's right, I'm gonna be there watching it. All right, Extreme versus DMG. This is gonna be a close game. This is gonna be a super close game, and I would like to see the DMG camp win, simply because I don't like Extreme. But DMG lost a ton of their players, man. They lost a ton of their players to Aftermath. So like DMG and Aftermath literally just like swapped players. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna give that to Extreme. Iron Man's gonna crush. I think New York Extreme is gonna give Iron Man some really tough points here and there. But I think Extreme is a team that just like loses just like random points really quickly, to the point where like I think Iron Man goes up like 3 or 4 points on him, and then it's just not enough time to come back. Diesel versus Infamous, come on. What happened? Why is this not loading anymore? Diesel versus Infamous, man. This is also going to be a really good game. This is going to be a really good game, but I have confidence in Diesel, though I really like Infamous. I have confidence in Diesel. I'm going to give it to him. I know, man, Infamous is not looking good this event in my eyes. And what I think I have him going 1-3 so far. Okay, for some reason Chalonge just decided to slow down. All right, New York Extreme versus Diesel, no question, no question, no question. That's a Diesel win all the way. DMG versus Iron Man. Iron Man win that, I think, pretty easily. Pretty easily. Okay. So that ended up being Iron Man 4-0 in their group, which I think is very possible. They might go 3-1. It might be more likely that they go 3-1, but I think they could go 4-0 pretty easily. I'm getting messages that I need to see in a second. Diesel goes 3-1. Super confident in that. Infamous going 2-2. DMG 0-4. Extreme 1-3. I feel really good about that. I feel pretty good about that. Okay, and the group stage. All right. So now we got our bracket here. You think DMG coming to the bottom tier this season? I don't know, because they lost like all of their team. They lost their entire team to Aftermath. And I don't know who they picked up as a substitute. I feel like all the names that I saw, bottom 5, DMG for sure. Yeah, I think DMG's bottom 5. Again, no disrespect. It's just that it's super hard to come back from that when you lose like your best players to Aftermath. And I don't know who they got as substitutes for those players is the problem. So, I mean, it's possible that they do better, but I think this time around it's gonna be pretty tough. So we have Dynasty, Damage, Impact, and Iron Man moving on to then play the winners of these various games. All right, Heat versus ML Kings. I think Heat wins this, no questions asked. Do you think this seems fair? Those of you who know a thing or two about these paintball teams, do you think this looks pretty fair? I think this looks pretty fair. Diesel versus Thunder. Man, I want Thunder to win this game. I really, really want Thunder to win this game. I don't think Thunder will beat DMG. I don't think Thunder would beat Damage if they moved on to this next game. And I think Diesel has been looking so solid against the teams. Yes, fair. Okay, thanks, Justin. I think Diesel has just looked so solid. They have definitely, in my eyes, become the better of the AC camp. Like, no questions asked. And their new Dorito player, or he looks new to me, that guy looks like an insane killer. So I'm going to give this to Diesel, though I love Thunder. I really want to see them make it past this first round. But I think Diesel wins, but I think it will be a bloodbath. I think that will be a really good game to watch. This is not going to be a good game to watch. Heat versus ML Kings is not going to be fun. No offense to ML Kings. I'm sorry. I feel like I have to cover my bases when I make these types of predictions, because if this video ever gets out to anybody in any of these squads who I've like thrown a lot of shade on, I just would feel so bad. So anyway, Revo versus Infamous. We got to skip that one. Oh my gosh. Russian Legion versus X Factor? You're kidding. That's the first game? Oh my gosh. Russian Legion versus X Factor. What do you guys think? You think so? X Factor got it? Dude, for the thing is, it wouldn't be the first time that Russian Legion has lost in like early in a tournament because they get somebody like this. It's happened before. Oh, you're right. The Russians are playing a little bit down, aren't they? Because they don't have some of their players. You're right. Did they have Burnikov and Smotrov? Dude, those guys are freaking sick. Like, to play the Russians would be so crazy. Like, when Christian was telling us about the time that he played the Russians in their practice, it just sounded like insane. Those guys sound so freaking good. I think you're right, man. I think we got to give it to Russian Legion. Does anybody else have any other input before, or excuse me, give it to X Factor? Does anybody else have any input? Justin, any thoughts? Anybody else? Thoughts about who wins this series? Russian Legion, dude, that would be sad for them to lose this early in the tournament, but I think you're right. Okay, going once, going twice. Sold to X Factor. Okay. Man, Revo versus Infamous. You know, I'm gonna give this to Infamous because I think Infamous is gonna do well this season. I think generally they're gonna do well this season, or at least I hope they do. I hope they figure it out. All right, dude, we're getting to some tough games here. Let's do Damage versus Diesel. Actually, this is really hard. All of these games are nuts. Every single one of these games is a finals. Dynasty versus Heat. Actually, I'm gonna give this to Heat because I think it's really, really hard. I think it's super hard, and Dynasty has shown in the last 5-6 years that it's really hard to win back-to-back tournaments anymore. They used to obviously win every single tournament that ever existed, but I think Dynasty is a camp that especially struggles to like put in the work when they've just walked away from a really huge win. To win on your 20th anniversary at World Cup is like you're taking a break. Like your motivation to go back on the field and grind right after that is like not there, I would imagine. And I think Heat's been playing poorly long enough that they're hungry for this game, and I think Heat wins. I think Heat beats Dynasty. That's the logic that I'm going off of. Damage versus Diesel. The thing that makes me sad is like Damage plays with so much heart. Not to mention they just lost Rusty as a coach, and Heat is coming in with Todd as a coach. That's true. That's a big point. Didn't even consider. The thing that makes me sad about Damage is that Damage has such a good, they play with such passion. Those guys are so fun to watch because they just go hard. They go hard every single point. And when you watch Keith Brown, dude, the thing that Keith Brown sucks at is actually pacing himself. That's the worst quality about Keith Brown. But I think other than that, that guy is insane. But it does feel like he's going 115% literally every move that he makes. And not all moves are equal. So by the time you get deep into a tournament, I think Keith Brown is like winded, like super, super winded. But they're not too deep yet. So I think they do stand a good chance at winning this game. This is going to be so close, dude. I think Diesel wins this. I think Diesel wins this because Diesel plays much more consistent from point to point. Damage is still kind of an old school camp in my opinion, where a lot of their wins kind of go back and forth, like or they go on streaks. It feels like they're a squad that could go up 2 or 3 points, but that's not like a secured position for them in a lot of cases. Whereas I think Diesel kind of just like, maybe they'll lose the first couple points, but then they'll figure it out and they'll just go from there. Especially because Greg Pauly's at the helm, and that guy is like such a good coach. Greg Pauly is an insane coach. So I'm going to give this to Diesel. I really want Damage to do well, but I think this is Diesel's season. I think Diesel's going to do really, really well. Impact versus Infamous. Impact versus Infamous. I mean, I think it's Impact. I don't know why I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm pretty sure it's Impact. This layout being snake sort of weak is, yeah, probably a benefit to Diesel also. That's a good point. Yeah, I actually didn't consider that, because I think it's possible for Keith Brown, like if there's anybody in the entire division who can make it to snake off break pretty consistently with as good of guns as there are on the other side, I think it is Keith Brown. But like you said, as soon as even if you make it to snake, there's no way you're running down the field against a layout or against a squad who like sends one dude up the center even, right? Even if you get to the rocket, that tall center tower, that guy in the snake can't hardly move up the field after that. So I do agree that I think given the layout, that's going to play into Dallas or Diesel's favor. I think this goes to Impact pretty easily. I think Infamous is a good camp, but I consider Infamous kind of the mid-tier. I think Infamous is a very consistent mid-tier pro division team. Impact is just, they've had so much experience winning for so long that I think it's going to play into their favor. Man. Oh, Iron Man versus X Factor. So I think losing Todd is a big deal. I think losing Todd Martinez to Heat is a big deal. I think it will be interesting to see how, like, I think that this tournament is going to be a really good indication of how much Todd was doing for that camp. Because maybe it is that Iron Men just do really well the whole tournament, the whole season. And this isn't casting any shade on their current coach. I think it's Nikki that took over. I have no idea about how she is as a coach. So this isn't any shade on her. It's just, you know, losing a guy who's been with your organization for years and knows your camp and has his own system, I think is going to be tough. However, I do think that there is something to be said about, so first of all, Iron Man, compared to a lot of other teams that have been in a similar position, Iron Men have relatively deep pockets. Oh, you're right. You're right. Nikki did get them fourth at the cup. That's right. Thank you for reminding me. What I was going to say is, there's pros and cons to having the same coach for a long time. The pros are you kind of having a consistent coach for a long time, even though maybe the roster changes, is that you have a lot of structure, which can provide a really good foundation, and you also kind of absorb this, I want to say, like the identity of that team, right, into the coach, so that if it's a good platform, if the program is a good one, then it lives on because of that coach. The only thing I would say, however, is that though they had a really good 2020 season, I think Ironmen have not played very well for a long time. Like, Ironmen have been, in some cases, like, not making it even to Sunday. Yeah, consistency with a long-time coach is really helpful. However, this isn't to say that Todd is not a good coach, because I do think Todd is an excellent coach. I do think that if your coach has been with the organization for as long as he has, and you only have one tournament win to show for it, because I'm pretty sure that's it. I think. I don't know how long he's been coaching Ironman, but that says something. And so, you know, even if you keep the same roster, it might be that removing that kind of, I want to call them like old guard, removing the old guard and allowing, like, especially players like Christian or some of these other new players, Tabata, other people, to just kind of explore and learn on their own and become really good players without that coach foundation, which then allows them to explore their positions, be creative in different things, I think is going to be really helpful in some cases, but it's hard to say for sure. Since 2016, yeah, so that's a long time. I'm gonna give this one, I think this is gonna be a pretty good game, but I think X Factor wins this. No shade on you, Christian. If you're watching this, Terry, ow, I don't want you to think that I don't believe in these guys. That's not it at all. I just am wanting to be reasonable. And I think X Factor is just a god tier organization. I think those guys are so good. And I don't think Ironman lose this handedly at all. I do think that Ironman has a chance to win this, but I think what you will see is that it will be a very slow first 4 to 5 points, and then X Factor, something clicks for them, and then they just pull away. Even if it's by 2 points by the end of the series, I do think that's very possible. Therefore, I'm giving it to X Factor. No shade. I love everybody there. And again, it's because they don't play Christian enough. That has nothing to do with Christian. They just don't play him enough. And I think Christian is one of the best players on that squad. Like, as they say, on God. I think truthfully, Christian is one of the best players on Iron Man. It's just really frustrating to hear that they don't play him very much just simply because he's a rookie. Like, it's stupid. Heat versus Diesel. Boy. Greg Pauly versus Todd Martinez. What do you guys think? What do you think wins this? Because I'm super curious. Heat versus Diesel. I think what's happening is that both of these organizations are kind of coming up from their slumps that they've been in. I don't think Diesel's been in a slump necessarily, but they've definitely been outshined by Dallas for a long time. But now I think Diesel's the front runner of that camp. And with Greg Pauly at the helm against Todd Martinez, I think Greg Pauly is a better coach than Todd, simply in that Greg Pauly has he is the one who created the meta for what is paintball today, in my opinion. I think Greg Pauly's camp and his coaching has ultimately caused paintball to evolve because of his zone control. And I mean, I get it, people know how to control zones in pro, but just his whole zones that he came up with and everything, I think it's really changed. To have a team like AC Dallas come into the league their first year and place top 4 or whatever it was because of his philosophies, there's something to be said about that. So Heat versus Diesel, what do you guys think? Who do you think wins this? We've only got what, this game and then the finals and then whoever wins third. Man, we're getting down to the bottom wire here. Heat is my prediction. Greg Pauly hasn't won tournaments, really. That's true. Greg Pauly hasn't won tournaments, and he has experience in winning tournaments. So, Heat. I think with Todd Martinez, I think you're probably right. I think Heat. It would make more sense for Heat to win this. That seems pretty fair. X Factor versus Impact. This always happens. It almost always happens that these two play against each other to make it to the finals. Impact versus X Factor. Dude, I actually think that of all the teams in the Pro Division, X Factor is the one to know how to crack Impact. Because weren't they the first ones to do it? I was pretty sure that when Impact was on there, like, what is it, like 2016 to 20... It was like 2016 to 2019 seasons, or not 2019, like... It was actually like, it was earlier than that. X Factor was Impact was winning like every single event for like 2 or 3 years or something like that. And I'm pretty sure it was the X Factor camp that was the first to like win and take that from them. And then they became, I didn't think X Factor was very good until they beat Impact and won the tournament that they beat them in. And now that all of a sudden they're just like gods. Like that X Factor is just such an interesting organization to me. X Factor because Impact is still missing the Canadians. Oh, that's right. They'll be great, but X Factor's full strength and looking good anyways. You're right. You're right. Okay, that's a fair... I think that's a really good point. Something I keep forgetting, the whole like import problem that people are having on their rosters because of COVID. Okay. Okay, let's do the third place match. Third place match, Diesel versus Impact. Dude, I'm giving this to Diesel. I'm giving this to Diesel for the same reason that they won't have their Canadians, and I think that feels better to me. I think Diesel wins this, and I would love to see Diesel take third place at this next event. At this coming event, that would make me super happy to see Diesel place third. I think that they are a top 4 team now, and I would love to see them take third. All right, X Factor versus Heat. X Factor versus Heat, dude. Is this the season that Heat makes a comeback? Is this the season that Heat takes the first event? And X Factor has to play not the rebuild, but like, that's a tough game. The two Texas teams. These guys don't play each other very often, I feel like. All the times that I see, like, Heat and X Factor do play against each other, and I'm pretty sure they did just this last week, not last weekend. Yeah, this past weekend, I'm pretty sure they played against each other. Man, I don't know. I think what's hard to determine this is that I'm putting a ton of weight on how much value Todd Martinez is offering to that organization as a way to overcome their previous poor performance of the last year. And X Factor has not had that issue. X Factor has been pretty consistent in the last little while. Do you think X Factor wins this, Brandon? This is the finals, man. This is the game. X Factor, he says. Okay, let's think really quick. So Heat, what they have going for them is they have Todd Martinez, assuming he offers real value. They have the same roster. I think they have the hunger. I think they have the hunger and the motivation because things have changed. I think they have that going for them. They don't have Fedorov though, do they? Does Heat not have Fedorov? That's something I didn't even realize because he wasn't there. He wasn't there when they were playing in 2020 or 20. I was going to say something else. 2020. They didn't have Fedorov, and I don't know if they will have him again. Does anybody know? Konstantin Fedorov. Just trying to see if he's actually registered. Dude, PBL is so weird to me. I don't actually understand. Heat plays good, but X Factor plays really consistent and can definitely bring a comeback if Heat pulls ahead. He still plays on Heat. I know he plays on Heat. I just didn't know if he's going to be here. If Konstantin is not going to be at this event, I think it's an obvious win for X Factor. I think if Heat does get Konstantin Fedorov, if he's able to come overseas, because he wasn't here. I'm pretty sure Fedorov wasn't here for all of 2020 because of COVID. But, all right. I think I agree with you. I think X Factor is super consistent. They did lose LJ Woodley though, but I don't know how good. I don't know if he was. And Rainey Stanczyk, dude. Rainey Stanczyk is just so nuts. Like, that guy is weird and how good he is. So I think you're right. Here it is, boys. We have a winner. Oh, that actually worked really well. We have a winner. X Factor taking the event handedly. Heat losing to them in the finals, and Diesel taking third place. I feel really good about that. LJ wasn't much of a... Yeah, I kind of felt the same. I kind of felt the same. He was kind of like the middle to bottom tier of that organization, but just, you know, somebody that they lost that knew the camp. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Let's do this real quick. Wow, this thing does not like to. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay, there we go. Seems reasonable. I personally think you could see Damage or Revo up there as dark horses. I do agree. I think that it's very, very possible for Damage, Revo, and Diesel to, or essentially Damage and Revo to replace Diesel. I think it's totally possible. And I think Ironman could too. I think Ironman could absolutely take third place. I just think it's going to be super hard to play X Factor. Damage looks super solid at the last event. Yeah, there was a bit of that conversation that we had just before you got here, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I feel pretty good about that. I don't want X Factor to win. I actually don't really care for X Factor very much. They're super good, and you have to respect that. But I don't know why. I just have never really liked X Factor. Like I don't care for the brand very much. I've always liked Heat. I've always liked Damage, dude. Damage has been one of my favorite teams since like 2013. Feel pretty good about that. Feel pretty good. Okay.